These scenes were filmed at Sydney's Villawood Detention Centre in April, and they paint a very different picture of the way we treat people who've come to Australia looking for our protection. Last month, more than 40 refugees escaped from Villawood. Tonight, Four Corners tells how they did it and why.
Sometimes I want to tell you, man, it's better go to kill myself now. That's it, to finish problem. A lot of people, when I was there, a lot of people, he tried to kill himself.
And we go inside Villawood itself. Why is this man in indefinite detention?
You must have done a big crime, an incredibly big crime, which is not matching this punishment that we are having.
And why have these parents had to watch their 6-year-old son stop moving, talking, and even eating and drinking? Tonight on Four Corners, the inside story you may not believe could be happening in Australia. On the 19th of July, 23 people seeking refugee status who'd been locked up in Sydney's Villawood Detention Centre crawled through a tunnel dug into the centre's drains and escaped. Three days later, another 23 cut through razor wire fences and followed them. All but one of the 46 are still at large. In a big city like Sydney, it seems it isn't too hard to keep a low profile if you have to. But if you want to be found, you can be. A few days after the escapes, Four Corners received a phone call. Despite the risks, some of the escapees wanted to tell their story. We were given a time and a meeting place. There we met a guide who took us to 2 other places to make sure we weren't being followed. Then, with hats and coats covering our eyes to make sure we didn't know where we were taken to a house in suburban Sydney. We don't know where it was or who lived there. After a while, 2 men arrived to talk to us.
I must say the truth. I don't know when I wake up, I'm going to run this evening. When I know at 5 o'clock evening, when he come one man, he tell me, if you want, today is the day to go out if you want, to get your freedom.
This man, Stefan, is an escapee from Villawood. He's a 32-year-old Algerian, a trained jeweller, and from a minority ethnic group, the Berbers.
Meaning to be the Berber, I'll give you an example. Like here in Australia, like Aborigine, the same in Algeria.
Since the early 90s, Algeria's civil war has been one of the world's bloodiest conflicts. In its first 6 years, it's estimated that more than 70,000, mostly civilians, were murdered. The Berber minority, though less victimised than some other groups, has been targeted by both Islamic fundamentalists and the government. But the problem is that Algeria is so dangerous that even Amnesty International finds it hard to document the violence.
Well, we have some idea, a fairly good idea of when massacres are occurring. We don't know about people who have disappeared, for instance, who have been taken by either side. This is thousands of people, and we are yet to find anything about them, despite repeated requests from organisations like Amnesty and the EU and others.
Stefan comes from the region at the centre of Berber nationalism. He says that, like his two brothers, now hiding in France, he was a minor political activist. In 1997, after protests against the assassination of a Berber schoolteacher, Stefan says he and others were jailed for 3 days.
They keep me here, sometimes eat with hot water for hours. And they put you in the cell, no light, no nothing, no food, no nothing.
Then, in March 1998, says Stefan, his life was threatened by terrorists.
4 years ago.
3 heavily armed men came to his jewellery store. One put a gun to his throat. They stole the money he had and said they'd kill him if he didn't find more the next day.
If those people come to you, you are going to die. You give, you die. You don't give, you die. Because if you give, the government tell you why you help him. Because you have terrorists. You want terrorists in this country. If you do help him, the terrorists think you are with the government. What you do, you die. The only way to run away.
Stefan had seen the same thing happen to other shopkeepers, and they were murdered. He grabbed some money, a few papers, and ran. He wanted to get as far away as he could. He fled via Tunisia to Mauritius and Thailand. There he bought a false passport, flew to China, and then took another plane to Sydney.
Yeah, I come with false passport, with French passport. And when I come there and in airplane, I destroyed my passport. I threw it in the toilet. After when I come in airport, I don't have any paper. I ask him, I am from Algeria. I come here for refugee, for protection visa.
But an Australian official didn't give Stefan the welcome he'd been hoping for. He'd come without applying first for refugee status, and by our rules, he was a queue jumper.
He angry when he see me like this. They, why you come here? Why you come here? I send you back now. I send you back. Tell him, please don't send me. I ran from my country like this, like this.
After an interview at the airport, Stefan, like all so-called illegals, was taken into detention. He spent his first 2 days in Australia in solitary confinement at Villawood. He says he was treated like a criminal.
I can understand. Because I come here, I think it's a human right. I come to protect myself, to looking to who give me protect me, who give me the right. When you are in Villawood like this, sometimes I ask myself why I am here, why? Maybe I'm a crime because I come in this country. Maybe because I apply for a protection visa.
Now, the trick is to be able to find who are the real refugees and who are those who are intent on abusing the system, and it's a difficult task.
But while we're endeavouring to achieve that, we're locking people up. What crime have they committed?
They haven't.
They haven't committed a crime.
Well, they've broken our law.
Which law?
The law that says that if you want to come